Hi, my name is Lauren Davina, and this is a story time about the moment we're entering right now. A moment people have been calling the singularity. Now, if you don't know what the singularity is, that's okay. It usually means you didn't grow up with a science fiction obsessed father, but yours truly did. So allow me to tell you about the singularity in the most fun, illustrative way possible. Imagine a hypothetical point in the future where artificial intelligence becomes intelligent enough to improve itself. And once that happens, progress stops being linear and starts to accelerate on its own. Just growth on top of growth on top of growth. And as the computer scientists say, feedback loops we can't fully predict. This makes our future, our reality, radically unpredictable. Think of it like a human zygote forming. You start with 2 strands of DNA, one from the mother and one from the father. They combine and then split into 4 pieces of DNA, then 8, then 16, exponential growth. But there's a boundary. Eventually, that process resolves into something we recognize as a human being. Now imagine that same exponential growth, but without the natural stopping point. No human as the endpoint, just continued self-improvement, faster and faster and faster, compounding in ways that we can't model. Well, what does it become? Something benevolent? Incomprehensible, catastrophic, a god, a monstrosity, and that uncertainty is the defining condition of the singularity. It could lead to abundance on a scale we've never seen before, or it could introduce risks we are not prepared for. And right now, we're standing closer to that edge than most people think. I'm bringing this up now because over the past few weeks, something unusual happened. The people actually building these systems, they all started to say the same thing, not in a press release or a keynote, and it didn't make world news because to most people, this is still hypothetical, imaginary, and abstract. But they were saying it publicly to one another on X and on Reddit, on platforms where technical exchange actually happens. And when the same idea starts appearing independently across different teams, companies, and personalities, that's not hype. That is something we should all wake up and hear. David Holtz, the founder of Midjourney, posted that over the holidays, he did more personal coding than he has in the past 10 years. He wrote, "I can see the limitations, but I know nothing's going to be the same anymore." Elon Musk replied, "We have entered the singularity," and followed it with, "2026 is the year of the singularity." Then Jana Dogan, a principal engineer on Google's Gemini API team, posted something that went quietly viral. She wrote, "I'm not joking, and this isn't funny. We've been trying to build distributed agent orchestrators for over a year. I described the problem to Claude Code, and it generated what we built last year in about an hour. Over 5 million people saw this." And Boris Cherny, one of the creators of Claude Code, confirmed that nearly all of his current contributions are written by the system itself. Not 10%, not half. Almost all of it. Okay, now stop. I know what at least half of you are thinking. Who gave these people the right to play 4D chess with the future of humanity? This is all reckless, it's hype, it's ego. I get it. And I agree. Honestly, I almost didn't want to say any of these people's names out loud because loud personalities have a way of swallowing quiet, important observations. And I'm not interested in feeding the algorithm with outrage, but I have to say it anyway. Not because of politics or personalities, but because of position. When people at the center of technological development, people who are inside what is effectively a modern day Manhattan Project, start saying the same thing at the same time, you don't argue with the messenger. You ask a different question. Why are they telling us this now? The idea of the singularity isn't new, it's been around for decades. What's new is the tone. To me, this doesn't sound like marketing or people trying to hype up their products. It sounds to me like builders realizing what they're building is moving faster than their intuition. Ignoring that would be like ignoring Oppenheimer or Einstein when they became uneasy about the implications of their own work. And that's why, in my view, this is not a tech conversation anymore. It's a reality conversation, a human conversation. I mean, is this it? Is this the moment where everything accelerates into abundance? Or is this the moment we all start to realize we no longer understand the systems we're inside? I don't know. But pretending like this isn't happening is no longer a serious option. Now, as an artist and director, I am not naturally wired for systems thinking. And by systems thinking, I mean seeing how a lot of moving parts interact over time. Feedback loops, second order effects, cascading consequences. And it's not because I can't understand it, it's because it's almost always taught in a language that just doesn't work for me. Typically, these concepts are taught through math or abstract models or white papers. Now, if someone made an illustrated version of systems thinking, I'd be good to go and probably understand it instantly. Which is lucky because my partner is a computer scientist and software engineer. He's exceptionally good at spotting patterns and complex systems that later turn out to be uncomfortably true. I mean, that's literally his job. So when AI researchers, engineers, economists all start circling the same idea, the singularity, he helps me see the structure behind it. He also thinks we've crossed into it. But for him, the question isn't, has the singularity begun? But what kind of singularity are we in? And this is me, very much an artist, trying to translate that moment for you now. Not to convince you or scare you, just to say something fundamentally has shifted, and whether that turns into catastrophe or abundance, That's the part that's still being written. In Reno's head, there are two very clear kinds of singularity we might have just entered. Option A, fast takeoff. This is recursive self-improvement. AI gets smart enough to make itself smarter, which makes it smarter faster, which makes it smarter faster still. The curve goes vertical, and this is the sci-fi version. The one where you wake up one morning and everything is different. New rules, new power structures, new reality, and no time to adjust. Option B, the boiling frog. Now, this is sometimes referred to as the gentle singularity. Change accelerates, but incrementally. Each week is only slightly weirder than the last. It always looks vertical when you look forward and flat when you look backwards. You don't feel the moment it begins, you only recognize it later, in retrospect. One scenario tells you to brace for impact, the other, more chill, but you might be a boiling frog. Both are disorienting in completely different ways. And the uncomfortable truth is, we don't actually know which one we're in yet. That uncertainty is the point. This is usually where people stop, where the conversation turns into interesting thought experiment, cool sci-fi idea, anyway, or the blank stare I get from my mom. But this is where it stops being abstract for me, where it starts to feel necessary to say this out loud. Because this isn't just something Elon said in a podcast, and it's not just a vibe or something I just feel instinctively in my body. It's what the world looks like to someone who actually works inside these systems. Which brings me back to Reno. He's a software engineer who's written and deployed rocket launch code. He's worked on systems where if one small assumption is wrong, things don't gently fail, they explode. So when people who are behind these LLMs say we've entered singularity, Reno doesn't hear someone's gross attempt to gain attention and followers. He hears pattern recognition. Because technologies like this, they don't announce when they've crossed a threshold. They just start behaving differently. And the only signal we'll ever get is when people close to these systems start to say, something has changed. That's why comments from the people building this system matter. Not because they're always right or because we should trust them blindly, but because this moment is too big to ignore just because the messenger is complicated. Now, I tend to err on the optimistic side of all of this. And if I could predict anything, if I could pick a future, I'd pick this one. All your life, you've been told a story. It's a comforting one. Time is linear. It moves forward. You're born, you age, you die. A book has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You get the idea. But what if, once we've crossed into something like the singularity and technology keeps expanding our understanding of the universe and life itself, what if even the idea of time is suddenly up for grabs? What if our understanding of life and death suddenly starts to change? As an artist and director, and honestly just a curious human being, I've always been curious about how feeling turns into art. You see something beautiful or strange or meaningful, and it just grips you. You don't decide to translate it, you just have to. That experience, the one we all recognize but rarely unpack, is what we call awe. That quiet, overwhelming sense that the universe is bigger, stranger, and more beautiful than we can fully hold. And if you sit with it long enough, you start to realize how absolutely absurd it is. Light hits the eye. Photons. Photons move through rods and cones. Tissues, signals just pass through this mushy brain sac. And yet somehow, you know you're looking at a flower and not a cup of coffee. That process is so complex, so deep, that we don't consciously think about it. We can't. It would overwhelm us beyond functionality. So awe just sits there, unexamined, felt but not fully understood. And I think that's starting to change. I think the filter is cracking. I think we might be on the verge of understanding awe itself, why we experience it, what purpose it serves, what it's doing to us inside. The way early astronomers began to understand the stars, or the way humanity once realized the Earth wasn't flat. That's what an abundant singularity could look like if we don't, get exterminated first. There's something I don't usually bring up because it sounds kind of cringy, but enough people have pointed it out in my life that it feels sort of honest to say now. I'm pretty sure I'm synesthetic. For me, numbers have colors. Colors have sound, and sounds have shapes. And sometimes when I imagine a future that's abundant, this kind of layered perception, it won't be rare. It'll be shared. Not because people suddenly want to be synesthetic, but because our capacity to experience it expands. Imagine tasting music, or seeing sound, feeling meaning in 4 dimensions instead of 3. This isn't chaos, it's clarity. The kind that comes from finally answering questions you never thought you'd get a chance to ask. Anyway, this is why I'm sharing these thoughts. For myself, for my son who may wonder what it was like to live through this moment, this turning point to singularity, and also to connect with others who also sense something fundamental is shifting, even if we don't have the language for it yet. I just hope the future we're headed towards is abundance and not obliteration. If any of this resonates, hang out in the comments, subscribe to stay in touch. I'd love to hear what you think. Bye for now.